name is Beauty Charamba. I am the firstborn in a family of 5. My father passed away in 2007 and my mother passed away in 2005. As the eldest sister, I was the one who was working and the rest of them were still going to school. We grew up just as kids, staying together and helping each other. Mostly I was looking after them. Terence was involved in an accident on 26 April 2019 in Durban when he was running away from thieves and he broke his leg, and he was operated on 10 May 2019. And barely 2 months after the operation, he was pushed by someone and he fell, which resulted in his leg breaking again. And this time it was a serious injury than the one he had had before. This time they had to put a bigger plate from the hip to the knee. On 27 August 2019, my sister-in-law, wife to Tazhidzwa Kanyemba, my brother, the 4th born in our family, was admitted at Kutama Hospital. She was due to deliver a baby.
Ndine vana 2. Pamwana wangu wokutanga ndina kumbova nedambudziko. Ndakatosvika pakurwadziwa, ndakasununguka mwana wangu mune zvakanaka, handina kumbova nedambudziko. Asi pandakaita mwana wechi2, ndakazvitakura kusvika panguva yekurwadziwa ndisina kumbosangana nedambudziko. Asi ndakunzwa labor pain, ndakarwadziwa, ndakaenda kuchipatara.
Ini nandiri kubasa, ndakazosvika vaenda kwaKutama Mission Hospital. Vasvika ikoko vakasvika unotariswa nemadoctors, vachitariswa vachinzi vari mulabor.
Ndakanzi ndiri pa2 centimeters. Ndakarwadziwa kubva musi wowo 27 ndichienda, mazuva akatopfuriridza.
From there, hapana progress yakazoitika kuti mwana abude.
I started to get worried. I thought he was supposed to deliver the following day. For that whole week, up to Saturday, she was just having pain.
The good thing in Zimbabwe is, especially at Father O'Hare Hospital, they've got doctors who are qualified, they've got midwives who are qualified, who are able to tell that this person is in labor. And they are also able to tell that this labor is not progressing, which is what was happening to this lady. She was stuck for several days at 2 centimeters, and the contractions were coming and going. And these contractions are very painful. One contraction gives you a lot of pain. So imagine having these recurring contractions for 10 days. It's a very, very painful condition.
Ndakarwadziwa zvokuti ufunga munyatsonzwisisa kuti labor kana Bible chayakanyorwa unzi ucharwadziwa nemimba. Zvanga zvisina kureruka.
Zvinhu zvisiri normal nokuti macentimeters kana angori avhurikaka zvakureva kuti labor progress inofanira kuramba iita sei ichikwira haingangoramba ikangomira panzvimbo imwe chete. Kubata kwaSatani koko unenge wabata kuti labor yo irambe yakamira panzvimbo imwe chete. Iyo vaimonita, vamwe vacho vakatosvika pakusviba moyo.
I was worried. Brain dzangu dzasina kunyatsogadzikana zvakanaka, ndichifunga nezvemwana wangu anga ari kuchipatara uye nezvemwana wangu anga akatakura.
Amwe ndobva wamboti wakasungwa, dai wambotsvaga kana dhaga repamharadzano, dai waita sei. Ndakati zvese zvamuri kutaura izvi ndiri kuzvinzwa, but inini handina zvandinokwanisa kuita. Ndatongomirira kuti Mwari vandinzwe, because tiri muno muchipatara tatonzi ndigare panzvimbo 1 because havasi kunyatsonzwisisa situation yangu. Handina zvandinokwanisa kuita.
Complications ekuti mwana apfuriridza nguva yake yekuzvarwa akawandisa. Mumwe anokwanisa kunzi aitira tsvina mudumbu mamai kana kuti anogona kuneta ari imomo. Saka complications zvese zvanga zvirimo zvichindistressawo mupfungwa dzangu.
I was so worried that maybe the baby could stop breathing because the baby can be distressed by those labor pains, and it could be something else. So I was worried for her life and for the life of the baby in the womb, because it was now too long, and I was so worried. And my brother is not working, doesn't have a permanent job, he's just a casual worker. So I knew that if anything is going to happen to them, it was going to come back to me. And the same applies to my brother. There in Durban, he's not doing anything. We had to send money to Durban for the rentals. We had to pay for his food. I was so worried about their welfare. I couldn't sleep at night. I just... To me, my brothers, they're like my children. When my parents passed away, I had to do everything for them. It's like, it was a very difficult time for me. I couldn't sleep at night thinking about them, thinking about my brother, especially the one in South Africa. When he had the accident, I called him. I said, I have to come and take you, and he refused to come here, saying, what should I do when I come there in Zimbabwe? Things are bad, I can't come back. And he refused. I decided to go to Life Haven when an opportunity came. It was on a Saturday, and I just said to myself that I have to go there. I've seen the men of God perform miracles, serious miracles. I've got personal miracles myself. I delivered a preterm baby in 2016, and with the prayers and the covering of our father, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, that baby survived and he's still around. I delivered him at 28 weeks and he's still around.
Ndova tetwandifonera zvakanzi ndaenda kuLife Haven.
Vakandifonera vakanditi ndaenda kunonamatirwa naProfeti kuti mudzimai wako asununguke mwana zvakanaka.
When I got there at Life Haven, Prophet addressed us, and at the end, he just said, I have to pray for people with serious cases.
We deal with critical cases. I don't want you to go back home with a situation that you know God can change. Extremely critical. But the rest of the minor problems, they are all gone. This prayer is not going to be like any of the prayers that I can pure before. All right? Yes.
Just stood up and cried to him that my sister-in-law is in labor and the labor is not progressing. I had written, I just took my diary and pulled out a paper and wrote labor not progressing. Then I stood up and I also took my phone with Terrence's leg, which was showing the stitches that he had.
Can you imagine? She's saying somebody has been involved in an accident and the leg is broken. Now they had to put some metal plates in there. If you look at how many stitches they've put over there. And here she's also saying, I don't know whether she's saying my sister or who. She's saying she's been in labor and she's not progressing. Nothing is happening. Can you imagine? So she's going to make a call after now, and let's see what's going on.
Come on, people of God, is that all we can do? Is that all we can do?
I just found myself on the floor and my legs, they just started shaking, especially the left leg. It started shaking. It was just shaking, and I was also feeling pain at the same time on that leg. From my hip here, it was so painful. And also my right leg was also shaking, and I was feeling pain even on the knee, on this right leg when I was down there. And those legs were actually shaking, and they were shaking. They were no longer like my legs. I just felt pain, especially on this knee area. It was shaking again, and it later subsided. Then after that, when I stood up, we went outside with the cameraman. The prophet had said that I had to call them. Hello, Terry. And how are you feeling? You what? Oh, ndandanamatwa na prophet izvozvi, so about you. Ndiri kulife haven. So can you try to walk without your clutches? Huh?
Okay.
What is happening? Tell me. There is what?
Yeah, but the knees, only the knees, but there's no pain.
There's no pain. That's a miracle, brother, my brother. Prophet Vandina Matira, and my knee was hurting for quite some minutes. Ndakagara pacheya, gumbo rangu ranga richindirwadza pani papa. Sakapo, you're saying you're not feeling any pain.
Yeah, for now I feel no pain.
It's going to be forever. You're not going to feel that pain. Just believe that.
Yeah, I'm walking up and down now.
Yes. They gave someone to record you a video and send it to me.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Thank you. Some minutes later, I received the video.
I'm gonna leave this thing, right? See, but the problem is, it's a little bit weak, but I can walk. Yeah, I'm walking.
He was actually humorous at the end, trying to dance, and which I'm at a loss of words. I can't imagine with the extent of his injury, dancing like that with his waist, and the operation had played from the hip to the knee. So dancing around the waist is something that should have been very dangerous for him, but he was not feeling any pain. That is why he did such a dance. He was happy. He was shaking his head. At some point, he was amazed by that.
Ndobva tetwandifonera zvikanzi ndaenda kulife haven, profeti wandinamatira. Uri kunzwa sei?
Hello, Maitrish. Hello. Muri sei ikoko? Ndabva kunamatirwa naprofeti izvozvo about you, so you're going to deliver. Handiti Maitrish? Okay. All right. Then later on, when I tried to call her, she was not picking up her phone. Then I just sent a message saying, just tell me when the baby is delivered.
Ndati mbuya ndokurwadziwa zvikanzi iwewe ndozvauri. Ndakabva ndagara ndakati mbuya ndarwadziwa. Zvikanzi uri kuti anoidzi toda kutorara. ndikurwadziwa peni yandikunzwa zvanzi uyu anonetsa vangu vakutoona kunge ndiri kutovanetsa vasisatombobhilivhe ndiri kurwadziwa ndobva vauya vanditarisa zvandakaona usina kufamba kana kudii ndiri kukurova ndobva vanditarisa vadai zvanzi wapa 4 centimeters. Ndakati ndiri kurwadziwa apa ndarwadziwa manje zvikanzi ndobva vatondisiya vachiti akuenda vaenda ndikati mbuya inini ndafa zvikanzi ndakunorara bva waenda sister vai ndobva ndasara ndega ndichingoburuka pamubhedhi ndakanzwa zvichaita ndobva ndavashedza bva vandiignora vakutonditi uyu anonetsa ndikati mbuya ndarwadziwa wabva vandiignora pandakazovashedza kana nguva yacho yakwana voice rinochinja ndakavashedza nebhesi rekuti vakashaya kuti murume abva upi vakauya vachimhanya vachisvika vari kuona musoro wakutobuda vabva vandikwira pamubhedha kurumidza ngati handichagoni bva vandikwidza pamubhedha ndabva ndichingokwira pamubhedha ndichigomera mwana achibuda zvakanzi wanwa chii ndikati handina chandanwa zvanzi unechawanwa manje unotsemuka chibereko ichocho kana kutobuda nezvinhu zvamunee muchingonwa ndikati sister tarisai kana mubhegi mangu handina chandambonwa bva ndinonora mabhegi angu zvakanzi apo watsemukira tiri tokusona mastitch ndikati he kutsemukira ndingange ndatsemukira ngo asi handina chandanwa zvakanzi unechawanwa chete vakutofamba muwadhi vakutoudza kune vamwe vangwane uyu zvakanzi musanwe zvinhu zvamunee muchiudzana kuti hei inwa ichichi munhu angasununguka ari pa4 centimeters ane chaano ndikati handina chandambonwa sister.
You know, normally you expect the uterus or the womb to open at a rate of maybe 1 centimeter per hour. So moving from 4 centimeters to maybe 10 centimeters, that's when the baby comes out. You would expect maybe 6 or so hours. So I'm sure this nurse in question, this midwife, who kept on stopping this lady from pestering her, she had actually probably calculated that now she's at 4 centimeters and I expect her delivery in the next 6 or 8 hours. So probably that's the reason why she kept on shouting at her, saying, no, the baby is not yet coming out. But to her amazement, from 4 to full dilatation, it was very swift, very fast, and you don't expect it for a second delivery. As medical doctors, we call it precipitous labor. Precipitous labor is a labor which occurs very, very fast. And it's usually occurs in women who have carried babies for maybe 4, 5, 6 times. Maybe she's now delivering a 6th child or 7th child. The labor tends to be precipitous. But not for somebody who is in her 2nd pregnancy. It's very unusual. And precipitous labor is associated with many complications, like bleeding, severe bleeding, rupture of the womb, which the nurses were worried about. But all those things didn't even happen. She didn't have excessive bleeding. She didn't have rupture of the womb. Otherwise, she could have been taken to theater to repair the womb.
I received a call from her that she had delivered a baby girl. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. She had been in labor for more than 10 days, and that is something which is very scary and disturbing. And delivering soon after prayer by the men of God, it was such a great miracle for me.
Ndikandishamisa chikuru ndechekuti sisi vanonamatirwa kuLife Haven. Same day iroro mwana ndopaakadhilivhwa kwakutama. Zveshuwa it was a miracle. Nekuti period yanga atora ari mudumbu it was long. Saka uyu mwana akatouya through prayer. It was a miracle on its own kuuya kwaakaita.
Ndobva ndasonwa mastitch ndobva ndabuda muye nemwana wangu. Ndobva ndagara zvakanzi mwana wake gumba rina kuita mushe. Varitarisa zvanzi gumba rina kuita mushe. Saka panguva yacho ndina ndazviona. Atomangwana ndikutomuchinja ndikuona gumba rake harina kuita mushe raiuya kuno kumberi. panzvimbo yekuti rigonye richienda nokuraiuya kuno kumberi plus pani panga pasina nii, panga ngoni nyama chete pasina nii. Ndobva vanditi unofanira kuonekwa nadhokta mwana. Ndobva chiremba auya abva asvika bangoti tasa zvanzi ngaenda netwa x-ray. Abva ndabva netwa x-ray. Etwa x-ray panga pasina chinhu, panga ngone bonzo. Ndobva vanditi izvi zvakutoda kuti atoonekwa nemaspecialist.
What I'm holding here is an x-ray of a newborn baby, whom we call a neonate in the medical term, and it was taken at Father Oye Hospital on the 9th of September 2019. What this x-ray is showing basically is what we call congenital hyperextended knee, or in proper medical term we call it genu recurvatum. Genu refers to the knee, recurvatum is referring to the abnormal extension of the knee. Normally, the knee is supposed to extend anteriorly or forwards, but it's not supposed to exceed the axis of what we call the femur or the thigh bone. In this condition, or on this x-ray, what I can see is the lower leg bones, or what we call the leg proper. It's exceeding very far anteriorly, and it's not in line with the thigh bone, which we call the femur. So this condition is called genu recurvatum. It's a congenital condition. Congenital means it's a condition which occurs while the baby is in utero, in the mother's womb. And there are a number of reasons why babies are born with congenital genu recurvatum. Number one, the baby might be lying in an abnormal position in the mother's womb. So that abnormal position will cause an abnormal posture of the baby and will hyperextend the leg. Number two, if in the womb there is not enough water, what we call oligohydramnios, if there is not enough water in the womb of the mother, the baby will also be in abnormal positions and postures, and this can cause hyperextension of the knee. This condition can occur as a result of abnormal muscles of the leg. There is a muscle which we find on the front or the anterior aspect of the thigh, which we call the quadriceps. If that muscle is shortened, it can pull the leg so that the leg will come all the way to the front. The other reason again is the ligaments which join the knee joint, which join the femur, which is the upper bone, to the tibia, which is the lower bone. If those ligaments are abnormal or are very loose, a child can also be born with this condition. It can come as part of a syndrome, which is quite common if somebody is to present in such a case. It can come as a syndrome. By syndrome, it's a cluster of symptoms which are put together to form this. So if it's a syndrome, you will have the knee hyperextended abnormally. That's number one. Number two, the hip joint will also be abnormal. Number three, the spine will also be abnormal, or there might be a defect or a wall in the spine so that the spinal cord will be protruding outwards. So this is a syndrome where you have a constellation or a combination of signs occurring in such babies. In this baby in particular, if you look at the lower limbs, what we call medically the lower limbs, or in layman's term, they just call everything the legs, they are not at the same position. The left lower limb looks longer than the right lower limb. And that might actually indicate that this baby probably had a problem with the hip joint and the hip was retracted to the back. It's very probable that this baby had a syndrome. And further to that, if you look at the hands of this baby, the baby had what we call extra digits, or in medical term, polydactyly. This is a condition where instead of having 5 digits that any normal human being is supposed to have, this baby had small digits on the just next to the small finger here. So there was a 6th digit on both sides. if we had to put together everything, most likely this baby was syndromic with all these symptoms put together, including the hyperextended knee, which was very, very clinically apparent, because it's the one thing that all the doctors, all the nurses, even the parents were able to see. So on this baby, from the images that I'm trying to demonstrate there, the leg is going more than 40 degrees coming upwards. The mother actually reported that sometimes the leg would go all the way to the chest. So you can imagine it's a very hyper-flexible, hyper-mobile joint, and it's very, very unusual and very abnormal, because we expect if the leg is to go anteriorly, we expect it to go by not more than 10 degrees. But going all the way to 40 degrees, it's something very, very abnormal and very, very unusual.
Baba wacho ndobva ndavaudza vakabva vatomhanya bva vatavengera ndo basa vabva vauya zvanzi vati gumbo raita sei ndandavavhurira vakabatikana
ndaworried again, ndakutsvaga madoctors, ndakufona, ndakusendera even sisi vanga vati mwana tanamatirwa, mwana abuda, taakufara. But ndakabva ndazovasendera futi maphotos ekuti mwana wewe abuda asi ane gumbo risina kuita zvakanaka.
And when I first saw the leg of the baby, after seeing such a leg, I was worried. What is going to become of the baby?
This is a disabling condition because the leg is not in a normal position. So what will happen is if nothing is done and you just leave the child to grow, the leg will be severely deformed. And if you are to look at pictures of children with this condition, it's very, very unsightly and you feel sorry for them. So besides the deformity, the child is in a lot of pain. The joint, what we call the articular surfaces, the surfaces which are supposed to come together during movement, they're supposed to be together when the child is walking. These points are no longer together. So it becomes very, very labored and very painful to walk. And they are prone to arthritis at a very early age because of this abnormal joint position. The other thing is what affects the knee can also affect the hip joint. Just in case the child didn't have a hip joint position, it was bound to develop a hip joint position, hip arthritis, because of the abnormal position of the knee. And also for you to maintain balance, the back will try to compensate for the abnormal side. So you might find that this child will have a crooked spine. The spine is now moving to one side to try and compensate so that the legs become equal, the legs become a resemblance of normalcy. So this child is also going to have arthritis of the spine. And arthritis of the spine with a crooked spine going to one side, what we call scoliosis. This will result also in disc problems. These are discs of the spine. So the discs can move outwards. And when they move outwards, they are going to pinch or to compress on the nerves. And this will cause even more severe pain, which shoots down the leg on the affected side and even on the non-affected side. So you can see so many complications associated with this condition. Number one, an abnormal knee joint with the leg going all the way forwards. Number two, severe pain of that knee joint. Number three, the hip joint is also going to be affected. Number four, the spine is going to be affected with pain at the back. Okay? And then the other complication which I mentioned was arthritis of all these joints and disc prolapse as a result of scoliosis or the spine turning to one side as the body is trying to adjust. So you can imagine all these complications put together. They are going to cause a severe psychological impact on the baby. You will grow up with a very poor self-worth or very low self-esteem because of the abnormality. You know, in our culture here in Zimbabwe, people tend to look down upon children with disability, and people tend to take advantage of them. And you can also imagine people talk about a lot of things, witchcraft and all those things. And this is now taking its toll on the baby. Sometimes people are told you gave birth to this child because you are bewitched or because you are a witch yourself. So all these things are weighing upon the mother. As these children grow up, this poor mobility and the joint abnormality can actually even increase and worsen, and the joint becomes stiff in that position. I have seen some babies who end up walking like animals. So this is a very, very difficult condition, especially if it's left alone without any treatment as the child goes along. And you can also imagine if it was your daughter with that condition, you can imagine how is it going to affect you in marriage? Who is going to be willing to marry a person with that condition? Because in our culture, we know that the wife is more like a workhorse of the family. She looks after the children. She looks after even the husband. She does all the chores at home. And you can imagine a husband who is going to marry such a lady with that condition. Is he going to be understanding? Is he going to be able to do all the chores, the household chores for this lady? So you can see this condition can affect from childhood all the way up to adulthood. So many complications are associated with it.
Saka vanoti kana wasununguka uku vanokuchengeta 3 days vachiona kuti iwewe nemwana muri sei, but vakatonditi 3 days achichaita chibuda mutomhanyamhanya nemwana kuti gumbo rionekwe kuti rinoita sei.
Unotsvaga specialist anoita nezvemabhonzo uye anoita nezvevana vadiki. Ndinasisi vari kuNamibia vaindifonera pamafoni.
Vanga kutosenda maaudio vachichema vakati saka gumbo racho richaita sei.
Saka vaienda paindaneti vachiresearcha vachitarisa congenital knee dislocation yacho yevana vanenge vakadaro makumbo, vachiti rinofanira kuenda kuna dhokta ronodhonzwa, rinopuliwa roiswa kakasti or ebandage richizomuvhiwa richibviswa makasti padiki padiki because anenge achikura mwana. Ndozvavairesearchawo paindaneti.
So what we as doctors do when a child is born with that abnormal position of the leg, what we do is, the first thing, we manipulate the leg. We bring it into position. You bend it backwards. And then once you have bended it backwards, you don't just leave it like that. Because if you leave it like that, imagine if the muscles which pull the leg are short, they're going to pull it again and it goes into deformity. So for us to maintain the position, we have to put a plaster of Paris cast. So that plaster cast is put at the back of the leg and the thigh, what we call the posterior aspect. And you have to shape it in such a way that it's bent coming backwards. And then you put some crepe bandages to keep the leg in that position. In other cases, you might have to put right round the leg and the thigh, and you have to bend that cast going backwards so that you maintain the position. And this cast is not going to stay for just a short period of time, but it's going to stay there sometimes for 3, 4, 5, even 6 months. So what the doctors will be doing is, after every 6 weeks, they remove the cast, they examine the baby, they check, is there any tendency of the leg to move anteriorly, abnormally? If the tendency is still there, they're going to put another cast. And then they review after another 6 weeks. They check again, review after another 6 weeks. So this is serial casting, serial putting of the casts. And as with any surgical or medical procedure, there are complications associated with this serial casting. Number one, it's a baby whom you expect to undergo all the milestones. There is a certain stage where you expect your baby to be able to sit. So you can imagine with this cast with the leg bending backwards with a permanent cast which is fixing the leg in that position, is the child going to be able to sit? Is the child going to be able to crawl? So all these milestones are going to be delayed in these babies. And mind you, it's a cast, which is heavy, which is what? I'm sure for some of us who have had casts put on us because we had fractures and all those things, you can imagine it's what? It's itchy, it's heavy, all those complications. And just imagine all that put on the baby. It's very, very uncomfortable. And in addition, there are other even complications associated with a cast. Sometimes it can be too tight. I, for one, have seen patients who have had very tight casts and they strangulated or stopped the blood supply to the leg, literally cutting off the blood supply, and the leg became rotten or gangrenous. I've seen patients who have had amputations because the cast was too tight. So it's not just an innocent thing to do on the baby. You have to explain all these things to the mother, that we're going to put a cast and these are things that might unfortunately happen, though we don't want it to happen. Another way of managing this condition, genu recurvatum, is you might have to put the baby in a harness. A harness, as you can see on the image, it fixes the legs and the knees and the thighs in one position and they are bent coming backwards. And it's going to be on the baby for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So it's literally a prison for the baby. Children naturally, they want to play, they want to be free, they want to enjoy life. They are still discovering their environment. They're still excited about everything. But now with this harness, the Pavlik harness, the baby is now immobilized in one position. Though it might look better than a cast, but still it's going to delay the sitting, the crawling, the early milestones literally of the baby. In addition, in extreme cases, you might end up having to do surgery for these children. Remember, I talked about the muscle which pulls the leg being short, so that the effect will be it will pull the leg all the way forward. So if that muscle is short, one has to find procedures to try and lengthen the muscle. So there are different ways and procedures of lengthening the muscle, which we call the quadriceps, lengthening it so that it becomes long and it doesn't pull the leg excessively. So this is surgery, and it's not an easy surgery, by the way. It's a complicated surgery with not many orthopedic or bone surgeons being able to do. There are specialized doctors who are able to do this, and it's associated with complications. It might fail to work, you might have infections of where you cut, or even infections of the joint space itself. So it's really not easy if you have a genu recurvatum which needs surgery. So you can see all these problems associated with this condition.
Ndakangoti tete ndozvaitika tete vakati aiwa kireka ndikotaura naprofeti.
So I just said to myself that we had to present this case again to the men of God. It was so worrisome, but I didn't show it to the mother that I was very worried, because I knew she had even more worry. So she even said that some nurses were actually telling her to be prepared. Now she had delivered a deformed baby, and the baby would need special care, something like that.
We had a meeting to update the prophet of God of what had happened on that particular day with a group of pastors that we had. And we told the men of God that the miracle had happened. The baby was born. But unfortunately, the baby had a bent leg and there was no kneecap on the baby, which was something that was saddening at that particular point in time. So the men of God asked for the picture and said, I want to see the picture. Unfortunately, we didn't have a picture at that particular point in time. So he said, please send through the pictures to me through the prophetess of God, Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa.
Then on Tuesday, I forwarded the photos to the men of God, Pastor Chris and Christ TV guys of the baby showing the right leg deformity. Then the men of God pastor said they were going to present the case to Baba Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa about the baby.
When the pictures came, I sent them to the prophetess of God, Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa. And when I sent it to her, the woman of God, I saw a message that instantly came into my phone from the prophetess of God, which was from the man of God, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, which was saying, I am praying for the child. Bring a testimony by tomorrow afternoon, which was Wednesday, the 11th of September, 2019.
Everyone in the family was now worried about the condition of that baby's leg. My sister was so worried. She had gone on internet, Googling about the condition of the baby and saying that the baby had to be attended to. And it was pushing so much pressure on my brother. And when the mother arrived home that Tuesday, that is the day when she was discharged from hospital, my brother was not happy because he didn't want the baby to sleep at their place that day, because I think he had that pressure from my sister in Namibia who was saying that baby should be attended to urgently. So during that night, I think we went up to 10, 11 p.m. discussing about how we are supposed to get the money for them to go to mission hospitals, to get some doctors. Everyone was just looking for information about doctors. And I also had to call my friend she has got a friend who works at Harare Hospital, and everyone was just so worried, and there was so much tension during that evening, that Tuesday evening, when they were discharged from Kutama Hospital. And so the following day, Wednesday, around 6 a.m.
ndova ndamukama kuseni tichitoti tione kuti toenda kupi nemwana. Mwana anga asina kumborara usiku wese achichema, kumupa mukaka achiramba. Ndakatofunga kuti pangugumbo riyezveshuva riri kumurwadza, but pangupesa apa ranga risingamurwadza, waitorifambisa uchitoridivi uchitoti gumbo remwana chii, but manhero aya aichema achiramba kana kuyamwa. Kuromuti nepi pamwe ndoratota uchichinja, but airamba haana kumborara. Atozorara pachesti pababa wacho ndopandakati gandimuke ndigadzirire ndidi tiende kuma4 kunze kwedza. Ndamuka ndagadzirira ndatopedza, ndakati kandichipedzesa nemwana nditarise mwana. Ndopandakabva ndavati chindipai mwana, iwo ndobva ndavati chiendai imwe munogadzirira. Pandikutora mwana ndichiti ndimuchinje, ndiri kubvisa nepi, ndiri kuona mwana gumbo rakatomira, niri yeri ritoripo. Pandakaruva kudai patoneni, but ndaiti ndakaribata kudai paingwa nechinyama chete. Ndobva ndatoti kuna baba wacho, bati tichiona. Ndobva nditi chi pari kudai gumbo aita kunga rimisa kudai. Ndobva aribata. Hanzi iwe nirapo kai. Ndakajamba, ndakafara zisikaite, ndakatanga kuimba ndikanamata, ndikati Mwari akanaka. Ndobva atonditi saka takuita sei, ndikati handizivi toita sei. Zvikanzi saka toenda kuna dhokotera, ndikati handichatozivi toita sei.
When I wake up in my room, I received photos on my phone of the baby's legs. They were okay, both of them. And below that, there was a picture saying from this, showing the previous condition which the baby had of the legs, of the leg bending. And at first, I couldn't believe what was really happening. Then an audio message came saying we just woke up, the baby's leg was okay. And everyone was happy. The messages, even my sister-in-law also sent an audio. She was happy. She couldn't believe that the baby's leg was now okay. And myself, I was so happy. I couldn't also believe. I had to call them and actually ask them what had really happened that morning.
Kana wakatasa mwana mucheche, a newborn, ane deformity, ane kuremara kwaanenge anako. Ozongoona zvagadzirika zvega pasina effort yako iwewe. Acho chakava chishamiso chikuru kwandiri, ende ndotenda kuti Mwari varipo zveshuwa. Kuti vakahila mwana wandikaona nemaziso angu kuti mwana uyu apa pamwe pakadai yezvinezvi adai.
It's so exciting and amazing what happened to this baby. It's nothing short of a miracle. That you have a baby born on day 1 with January cavetum, severe for that matter, and having that condition on day 1, day 2, leaving the hospital, day 3 at home. You know, it's too much of a coincidence. When I saw the baby, I said to myself, how can this be possible? If there was spontaneous reduction of the knee, it's probably likely going to move back where it was. Because when I saw the baby, there was no cast. There was nothing holding the leg in position where you would want it to be. And yet the baby herself was keeping herself in that position as if there was some kind of power, some kind of force which is keeping the leg in that position. It was now just like the other leg, normal extension, normal flexion. All the positions were normal, without anything to keep it in position.
The greatest miracle of them all, of an operation of a leg, spiritually. That night, the baby was crying throughout the night. So that was the time when the spiritual hand of God was upon that leg, making it okay, fixing it. I am overwhelmed if I come to think of what was going to happen to that baby and what we're going to go through. I cannot just imagine what we're going to go through if that miracle had not happened. We were going to go through a very difficult time as a family, and this was going to weigh me down so much. We were going to need money. And these days, doctors are charging exorbitant fees, and some of them would want even US dollars, yet the miracle not happened. Because honestly, I can say we didn't have any money or any US dollars on us for us to start the process of going for hospitals. I know they were going to tell us fees which were exorbitant, that were out of our reach for that leg to be corrected, and maybe it was never going to be corrected. She was going to grow up with a disability. We were saved, and this happened for free. No money was paid. This miracle just happened through the hand of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, being used by God. For free, we never paid anything. We just woke up, the baby was normal.
Ndinini manje ndoda kudzokera kwakutama kwacho kwandakasunungukira kuti vanoona kuti gumbo remwana raaita. Ndichisvika ndava ndasangana nambuya vakandisunungutsa pamusuwo vakuti iwe ko uri kutsvage kuno gumbo remwana wasiita sei? Ndakangosekerera ndobva handiti enda nemwana kupi kulebhu kwakasunungukira bhozi asati akuenda kunoskererwa kune vamwe. Ndikati orai, ndobva ndaenda, ndobva ndasvika zvakanzi mubvise hembe dzese chiti mutarise. Saka vanga vashedzana nevamwe manesi vakuti ndiye mwana wayo taitaura kuti hana nii yaimona. Manesi atomhanya kuya kuzoona. Ina ndichandakataura ndiri kutobvisa hembe mwana ndiri kumudai. Wabva waona zvanzi rapo madhoktors akamhanya tobva wauya zvikanzi chii, zvikanzi gumbo ni ranga risipo rapo. Ndobva watondinyorera uyu pakadhi rake pasi zvikanzi anongonoonekwa zvake naspecialist wemabhonzo asi gumbo rirapo. Vakatonyora vachitoti gumbo ranga ragadzirika. Zvikanzi unoenda kuchechi kupi? Ndoenda kuEFI. Aro nemanesi aiko kuti toda touya kuchechi kwei. Tokadzi chii chaitika? Ndakati handimwari unyana chai. Saka kubva ipapo ndobva ndakatodzoka kumba ndichifara. Gumbo remwana wangu rabva ratoita zvakanaka.
The other thing again which is surprising to me is the mother reported that the night of the miracle, the child cried a lot throughout the night. And she hadn't cried like that on the first day, neither did she cry on the second day. But on this particular night, the baby cried and cried and cried without ceasing. To me, probably there was some kind of hand which the mother couldn't see, which was manipulating the leg, bringing it into position. So probably, don't know, there was a surgical procedure being done to manipulate the leg, to tighten the ligaments, to lengthen the quadriceps muscle. Something might have been happening because you can't just have the child crying and then the following morning everything is now back to normal. Sometimes it's beyond what you expect and what you think. You know, there are certain ways where you expect the power of God to work, but God he says, your ways are not my ways, neither my thoughts are they your thoughts. When this lady, the aunt to the lady who was in labor, was prayed for, one thing that she complained of was pain in her knee. I could see her shaking the legs. And later when she reported that she had pain in her knee, she didn't say knees, she said knee. Right knee for that matter. She didn't say knees, but pain in my right knee. And to her, I think she thought the pain was related to the brother in Durban, where they had a thigh operation. But little did she know that it was kind of prophetic, that the baby who was to be born with a knee condition. So you can imagine, people of God, how prophetic this was. You know, it's not a prophecy of words, but a prophecy happening on the body of the person in real time, feeling that something is happening to my knee. The knee is painful, there is kind of a movement, there is a stretching of the knee. And yet, you know, she couldn't even put it together, 1 + 1 together, that probably is the baby. To her, the most obvious thing was that the brother had a knee problem. And yet, I can't explain it, and yet it was the baby who had a knee condition. And the Spirit of God was actually telling her that this baby will be born, but there is a problem with the knee which needs to be addressed. And one thing that we like with the God of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa is that he just doesn't reveal the problem. The moment it's revealed, it's as good as solved, because a few days later, this knee condition was discovered, and within a few hours, it was sorted out. And then another interesting aspect again, the brother to this lady had an operation on the left thigh. And, you know, surprisingly, she complained about pain on the left hip going down to the left knee. You know, I don't know, but it was like there's the word hacking, okay? It's like she had hacked into the brother in Durban, and she had also hacked into the baby in Kutama at Father O'Hare Hospital, and the baby was still in the womb. So it's so amazing how the power of God works. You can't explain it. It's beyond imagination, because all these people are not there.
He didn't even pray for my sister-in-law. He prayed for me, and my sister-in-law went into labor and delivered swiftly. The baby came out. I forwarded the pictures on a Tuesday for onward transmission to the men of God that same day. And we woke up on a Wednesday. and the baby was fine. It was a miracle. I've never seen such a miracle in my life, and up to now, when I just think of it, I can't believe it. But I just know that the man of God is being used by God. That is what I can say. He is being used by God. He is a true man of God. My sister was insisting that we will go to the hospital with that baby for it to be checked. And I told her that the baby was okay. Since she's far away, she couldn't believe. And it was because of the things that she had discovered about the condition of the baby, that it's something that cannot be just corrected like that. So she couldn't just believe it. So on Saturday, we went to town to see a specialist doctor. And the doctor examined the baby, and everything was fine on that baby. From head to toe, the baby was examined, and she was okay. It's a miracle. It's a miracle indeed. It's a miracle. And everyone was happy that a miracle had happened.
If you are to analyze these miracles, it's a series of miracles happening at the same time. The brother in Durban, South Africa. The woman is at Mount Hamden, Life Haven. The lady who is pregnant is at Kutama, some maybe 80 or 90 kilometers away from Harare. Putting all these things happening at the same time, it's so amazing. And one thing which shocks me is the man of God prayed for the image on the phone of this gentleman. So you can imagine, Prophet Makandiwa touched the screen of the phone, and he touched not the person, but the representation of the person who was 1,600 kilometers away. And this guy had no idea that his picture was being ministered to. But you can imagine how the power moves from the hands of the prophet to the phone, to the image in the phone, and how suddenly something happens 1,600 kilometers away. This is 1,000 miles away. Instantly something happens there. And the sister calls him and asks him, "How are you feeling?" And he says, "I was in pain previously, but now something has happened. I'm no longer in any pain." How can you explain that? How does the pain just suddenly go away? If he was there and he was aware that somebody is praying for him, probably he might try to please the man of God and just tell him, "No, I'm no longer in any pain." But he's somebody who doesn't even know and is away. And he is corroborating everything, saying exactly what is being asked for in Harare, and yet he's far away. And the sister even challenged him. I say to myself, this sister is a naughty sister, because the man of God never told her to ask him to walk. But somehow, by just her own faith, she asks him later on that, "My brother, can you walk? Just do what you couldn't do." And he starts walking. And by the way, that was not the instruction of the man of God. If he prays for somebody, say with a leg condition, he doesn't want you to put weight on that leg. He wants you to go back to your doctors so that your doctors will certify you, and then they will tell you what is safe to do and what is not safe to do. But somehow, by this lady's faith and the young man's faith, you can see him walking.
Ini ndotenda Mwari nechipo chawakandipa chemwana musikana, ndakamunema kuti Skylar. Ndinofara zvikuru, ndotendawo baba Prophet Makandiwa nekushandiswa kwavanoitwa naMwari, nekubata basa kwavanoita basa raMwari. Ndinotenda naizvozvo. Mwari vakandipa munana wemwanasikana Skylar Kanyemba. Ndotenda naizvozvo.
Shoko randingade kuti nditaure kuna Prophet Makandiwa, ndinonzwa kukutendai zvizhinji nebasa irori rakaitwa naMwari wenyu womunana. Ngatirambe tichirumbidza Mwari, ndiMwari wedu womunana.
I want to thank God for this mighty miracle. Baba and Mama, I love you so much. I don't know how to thank you. I don't know how to thank you, but I love you so much, my parents. Thank you.
When the pictures came, I sent them to the prophetess of God, Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa. And when I sent it to her, the woman of God, I saw a message that instantly came into my phone from the prophetess of God, which was from the man of God, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, which was saying, I am praying for the child. Bring a testimony by tomorrow afternoon, which was Wednesday, the 11th of September, 2019.
Iri ndogumbu racho ranga riri pamba pasina nii pamba ngoni chinyama chichidzvanyo dai wengunzwa chinyama kuno rakapeteka raiti rakapeteka aitorisvitsa apa pachest richidzoka nkurichiya kumberi raka uku kundokwaita kunge kwakabuda kunze saka anga akatopeteka pakangopeteka but patakamuka tichiona anga akarimisa so richitooneka nii ndakatoribata dai ndopa ndakatanga kutonzwa kuti nii rapo ratofanana nerimwe anotori skwatanodza hambo chemenaro.